Major League best 6 different times this season, Phillies pitchers in high-handed fashion have shut down their opponent from crossing home plate. 4 different starters out of the rotation have combined with a shutdown bullpen and have silenced the lineups of teams from the East, West, and now Central divisions. A stingy faction on the mound leaves you with a chance for success each time out. Pretty good night last night for the Phillies and their fans. Ryan Howard blasted a home run, his 22nd against the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Phils shut them out behind Aaron Nola and the bullpen. Well, tonight it's Game 3 of this series between the Phils and the St. Louis Cardinals from Busch Stadium. So last year, the Phillies, throughout the course of the 2015 season, had 7 shutouts. Well, so far this season, they already have 6. It's the most by the Phils through 27 games since 1913. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, joined by Matt Stairs. We'll hear from Greg Murphy in just a little bit. All right, so tonight it's Adam Morgan who gets the opportunity to try to help the Phils to their 7th shutout. That's not really what they're looking for, but they do like the competition between the starters, and I think Adam has slid right into that competition.
He has, really, and I think what Adam would like to see him go deeper into a game. He's averaging about 19.4 pitches per inning, so you need to go with them pound and strike zone. Throw more fastballs in the zone. We all know he has a very good changeup. I like his cutter as well. I'd also like to see him start mixing in some more curveballs. He has a great pace, but I just want to see him pound that strike zone more. And instead of getting these swings with 2 strikes, like 3 balls, 2 strikes, maybe 1-2 or 0-2 instead of wasting pitches. Just attack the hitters a little bit more.
I think he would agree with you. In fact, after the last game, he said just that. So that was his. Those were his numbers against the Indians last time out. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. And speaking of Adam Morgan, they call him the captain. Well, the captain sat down with Greg Murphy.
All right, thank you very much. Well, Adam, you'll get the ball again tonight, and you'll get your 2nd start for the Phils since coming back up from the Lehigh Valley. Talk a little bit about your comfort level, because you and I had a conversation about your first start, and you said, you know what, when you stepped out on the mound, you felt like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, there was a calmness to that last start that I had. Just because I felt like I prepared myself the way that I should, went about things the right way, and I felt like I prepared myself. So I didn't want to make anything too spectacular out of it. I just wanted to, go out there and do what got me here, and just go about it that way.
You had solid results, and obviously with each start, you're probably trying to build on that and then fix a couple of things. And so what are you working on? What did you work on in your bullpen as you get ready for start number 2?
Yeah, just being able to throw inside more effectively. And when you get guys 1-2, 0-2, to being able to put them away instead of giving them something too good to hit. So just put away pitches and being able to throw inside more effectively.
You got a chance last year, obviously, a taste of the big leagues last year. You come back this year, you joined this rotation, a handful of young guys that you know very well. How has that been? Because I would imagine when you talk about comfort, that's got to be a big part of it, right?
Yeah, it's very comforting, those are my buddies, and we always try to, sit together in the dugout and learn together. And I think that it's good that there's a good amount of young guys, because we're just learning every single day, even the little things, what to look for here, how to throw guys here. So we're all trying to learn. So I think that it's huge that, we're all here together learning.
Okay, a lot of learning going on, but I would imagine a lot of laughs as well. What's the personality grouping like out of the young guys, the 23, 24, 25-year-old guys?
It's good. They're all good. There's a point in time when you can joke around, and then there's a point in time when you need to be serious. And these guys, I feel like we know when to be serious and we know when to joke around. So it's very relaxing, and when it comes game time, we're very prepared.
Are you able to feed off one another too? I'm sure you did that down in the minor leagues when you were together. You feel like you're going to be able to do that here?
Absolutely. I think that it's awesome to go out there and not only compete with the other team, but compete with the other starters. Hey, I want, he went 5, I want to go 6. And it's a friendly competition, and just like in spring training, the competition there was fun and was exciting, and just taking it into the season.
Well, we wish you the best of luck in building on that last start. And then again, as we said before, welcome back to Philadelphia.
All right, thank you.
All right, guys, we'll send it back upstairs to the booth.
Thank you, Murph. We appreciate that. Adam Morgan getting himself ready for tonight's ball game. He'll be opposed by Mike Leake, who's making his 6th start of the season in a Cardinals uniform. Mike Leake and the rest of the Cardinals pitching staff will have to deal with Ryan Howard tonight. Ryan, another home run here in St. Louis. It was the only run the Phillies needed last night. It went well over 400 feet. We'll talk about his success in his hometown. Kind of an odd number for a pitcher. We'll talk about that during tonight's telecast. Well, last night, Ryan Howard homered again here in St. Louis. You know, Matt, when you played against the Blue Jays, because you're from Canada, you played against the Blue Jays, you had 14 home runs. You hit well over 300 against them. You had 22 home runs at Skydome. It's just something about a comfort level for Ryan Howard here in St. Louis.
Well, it is. He comes home, he's nice and relaxed. You know, it's one thing you have all your friends and family are coming out to watch you play. You know, and last night in the 6th inning, he hits an absolute bomb right here to go up 1-0, eventually win the game 1-0. But it's a comfort level. You go in and you've seen the ball well, the batter's eye, the surroundings around you, you're right at home. And look at the numbers, 36 games, 331, 12 home runs, 40 RBIs. Career at Busch Stadium, unbelievable. So talk about a guy who feels comfortable hitting in St. Louis and hitting in his backyard. Ryan Howard does.
Last year was the only year where his numbers were not good here in St. Louis. It's nice to see them be good once again. When we come back, we'll head to the Comcast Sportsnet studios and then prepare for the first pitch of tonight's game. Folks are settling in. There's no hockey to distract them here in St. Louis tonight. Pete McCadden's team, well, they won last night 1-0, and they're hoping for Adam Morgan to step up tonight and pick up some slack as well out on the mound. Let's take a look at the Phils lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Herrera, Galvis, and Franco, followed by Ryan Howard, Carlos Ruiz, and Cesar Hernandez. The bottom third of David Lowe, Adam Morgan, and Tyler Goodell. Tyler's going to play today and tomorrow, and they will face right-hander Mike Leake. Big free agent signing by the St. Louis Cardinals this past offseason, a former first-round pick. 5 years, $80 million for Mike Leake this past offseason.
Yeah, and it's been a struggle so far with all of his pitches. It just seems like he's only throwing 2 pitches, and that's a fastball and a cutter. He needs to all of a sudden mix in some changeups, some sliders, and some curveballs as well. As you can see the scouting report, he has a pretty good arm, 90-93. He is a 5-pitch pitcher, and he's got a terrible ERA versus the Phillies throughout his career at a 6.00.
He had 2-3 record against the Phils. Last year he pitched in 2 games against the Phillies, and he won 1 of the 2. Waiting for Odubel Herrera, and we'll get this game started up. Odubel 3 for 7 so far in the series, and the first pitch he swings at it, and he fouls it off to the third base side. It's 0-1. Odubel overall hitting .311, 2 home runs, 9 runs batted in. His 1 hit against Mike Leake is a double. He has swung at the first 2 pitches. That is uncommon for Odubel Herrera.
In 2016.
Yeah. Looks like he's trying to get his hands warm. Temperatures are in the 60s to start this ball game. That one is hit out toward right field. On the run is Piscotty. And he's a step from the track. Now on the track. Makes the catch. 1 out. So Mike Leake gets the first out, and now he will face Freddie Galvis. All right, Matt, it's time now for our Nissan keys to the game.
Well, it's going to be about pitching today. Morgan, more aggressive in the strike zone. I'd love to see him throw more fastballs, get ahead, and then go ahead and start mixing in the changeup and the slider or the cutter. And also, number 2, give Leake his off-speed pitch until 2 strikes. He'll throw you 82% of the time either a fastball or a cutter. He doesn't feel comfortable with his off-speed pitches. So give it to him early and then adjust with 2 strikes.
Freddie Galvis has a base hit in 7 at-bats against Leake, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. It is surprising, though, with what you said about fastball cutter, because he does have those other pitches. Fouled away, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. That was the cutter. The Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is James Smickle of Belvedere, New Jersey. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game, then James will win $100. It's sharply hit to second base. Jed Jerko is up with it. 2 outs here in the first. And Maikel Franco is the batter. Leake was a first-round pick of the Cincinnati Reds in 2009. He was the 8th overall selection that year and sped to the big leagues rather quickly. Last year, the Reds, they were just looking to dump some salary or potential salary because obviously Leake had a potential to make a lot of money. So they traded him to the San Francisco Giants. Overall, he was 11-10 with a 3.70 ERA. And he was a coveted guy in the offseason on the free agent market because he is young. He's 28 years old. But because he was traded in the middle of a season, if a team signed him, they wouldn't lose a draft pick. So the Cardinals thought that was a great thing because they were getting draft picks because they lost John Lackey and Jason Hayward. But 5 years and $80 million is a pretty thick contract. 0-2 is hit back to the box. And Leake is there. He feeds Yadier Molina. And that is a 10-pitch First inning, nothing across for the Phils. Adam Morgan is ready to go when we come back for the bottom of the first. St. Louis Cardinals for game 3 of this series. Let's take a look at their lineup. It's brought to you by Xfinity. The new Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. It'll be Diaz, Piscotty, and Holiday. Randall Grichuk, the center fielder, bats cleanup. Yadier Molina's over at first base. He'll bat 5th. Jed Jerko, the second baseman, hits 6th. Ruben Tejada starts at third base. He'll bat 7th. Eric Fryer 8th. And Mike Leake, the pitcher, bats 9th. And they will face left-hander Adam Morgan, who picked up his first major league victory here in St. Louis last year. And those are his numbers from his only start here in the big leagues.
His only start in the big leagues wasn't too bad. I still like to see him pound that strike zone a little bit more, be aggressive. You see the scouting report, 4-pitch pitcher, has a very good changeup, and I absolutely love his curveball.
First pitch swinging is Diaz, and he hits it into foul territory down the right field line, and it's going to land just toward the edge of the tarp. Diaz is under 400, Matt, for the first time this year, hitting a cool 388.
AAA time. I think Morgan needs to throw more curveballs just to set up other pitches. That's the reason why I love his curveball.
There's a fastball and it's 0-2, and I'll agree with you about that curve, particularly against the right-handed hitters, because it does come into their hands.
Right. I'm not a fan with a curveball lefty on lefty, but against right-handers, I love it.
Diaz hitting 388 is third highest in the National League. Daniel Murphy is around 400. He's at 390. He had a big day today for the Washington Nationals. In the dirt, there was the curve, and it's 2-2. He's batting leadoff today for Matt Carpenter, who has been given the day off for the first time this season. Fly ball right field. David Lowe casually goes back. One away. Stephen Piscotty is coming up. Well, Murph, we all know the Phillies have been playing some pretty good baseball, but if you compare it to some of the other better teams, it's even more impressive what they've done.
Yeah, when you put it in perspective, it certainly is good to see. The Phillies have been winning a lot of baseball games, winning at a very good clip, and that's what we like to see. One of only 7 teams in baseball that have a winning record at home and on the road. And if you look at winning percentage since April the 9th, they are in 4th in all of baseball right now, behind the Cubs, White Sox, and Nats, winning at about a 70% clip. And how about this, guys? If the Phils were to win today, they would go 6 games over 500. For the first time since they finished the 2011 season with 102 wins. That'll be the first time they'd be 6 games over 500.
Well, this has been a very impressive run as David Lowe tries to track down that foul ball. And the hope is that they can sustain some semblance of this as the season moves on, because, you know, it's been entertaining, but they've done it all without a whole lot of offense. There's David Lowe. Just barely misses getting after that baseball. 1 ball, 1 strike to Piscotty. He pulls it foul.
Well, and the team's playing well. One, tremendous pitching. After the first 4 games of the year, they've been locked in. The timely hitting, and the good defense. We saw it last night. Peter Borges, who made a tremendous play down the right field corner.
Back to the mound. Nice play, nifty by Adam Morgan. Quick reactions. 1-3 on the putout.
Threw a fastball and he hit a changeup back at him. So bad he jammed him right there. The good pitch inside.
It is nice to see where his velocity is sitting at this point. And that's why what you were talking about mixing in some of those other pitches, it just makes it so much better. I mean, there's 92. Home plate umpire tonight is Quinn Walcott. Mark Carlson is the crew chief. He's at first. Mike DeMuro is at second. And Ryan Blakeney is around the third. Fly ball right field. David Lowe will have his second opportunity of the night. And a pretty quick inning for Adam Morgan. He's able to match the 10-pitch inning by Mike Leake with a 10-pitch inning of his own. Leake. Howard does have a couple home runs against Leake during his career. It'll be Howard, Ruiz, and Cesar Hernandez. 7 for 21 against Mike Leake. Fastball on the outside corner, according to Quinn Walcott. Howard, we mentioned, has 12 home runs here, and during the Open, we were talking about, Matt, you know, Toronto was the closest stadium to your hometown eventually. I mean, Montreal obviously was to start, but you always hit well at Sky Dome. I don't know if it was because you were in Canada, maybe you had some friends and family there often, but you always hit well at Sky Dome.
To start my career, I didn't, because I thought I was trying too hard.
Because you were in Canada.
Yes.
Swing and a miss. Howard strikes out. First strikeout for Leake. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, boy, if you turn this game on in like the 4th inning, it was over. Washington beats up on Kansas City 13-2. Daniel Murphy, Clint Robinson had 3 RBIs each. Bryce Harper hit his 10th home run. In fact, Murphy was a triple shy of the cycle in today's game. Steven Strasburg didn't need much support today. Eric Hosmer was thrown out, arguing balls and strikes with CB Buckner.
No, really?
Yeah.
Someone argued with CB?
From the dugout, he was arguing, and he was ejected from the game. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ruiz. I actually thought it was interesting that it was, I think it was 11-2 at the time, and he was fired up. Now, he may have wanted to just leave the game, or he was just not trying to give away any kind of at-bats. One ball and 2 strikes to Ruiz. And Carlos hits it the opposite way to stay alive. Current conditions 63 degrees. Partly cloudy. And a slight breeze. It's kind of an interesting day here in St. Louis. The sun was out for a while, then it got cloudy, then the sun came back out again, and then it got cloudy again. Ball's pulled foul. Left side. Ruben Tejada is there. Saturday, May 21st, when the Phillies take on the Atlanta Braves. As a reminder, it's a special start time. It's a 3:05 first pitch, but it's also Comcast Be a Fanatic About Reading Day. And all fans 14 and under will receive the Fanatic Children's Book. There it is right there, featuring the Galapagos Gang. Order your tickets by going to Phillies.com. Cesar Hernandez fouls the first one off. It's 0-1. Cesar 1 for 6 in this series. His average is dipped. Swing and a miss. There's the cutter. It is true, though. I think he's thrown 1 changeup. Everything else is fastball cutter, right?
Yep.
64 wins, 55 losses during the career of Mike Leake. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. That looked like a backdoor cutter almost. And it's the second strikeout for Leake in the inning. 6 up, 6 down for the Phils. On to the bottom of the second here in St. Louis.
The team?
Former NFL player Raheem Brock will tell us.
Plus, he's the man of 1,000 voices. Comedian Joe Conklin joins us.
We'll see you at 6 on the Comcast Network.
Well, there's Aaron Nola. He was a topic of conversation on Breakfast on Broad today after his outing yesterday. 7 innings in yesterday's ball game. He and Michael Wacha, who is tucked inside there in the Cardinals dugout, they matched last night. 7 strikeouts for Nola, 8 strikeouts for Wacha. His scoreless streak is up to 20 innings. Not too shabby.
No, it's not.
Here's Randal Grichuk to lead it off, and he swings at the first pitch. Matt, did you think David Lowe would be this busy in the first inning and a third? 3 putouts already.
No, I didn't, but it also means that you have pretty good movement on your fastball, late movement. Guys thinking they're going to be able to crush the ball. Next thing you know, ball moves out of the zone or farther in the strike zone away from the barrel. Another weak fly ball. I'll take 7, 8, 9, 10 of those.
Not too bad. Yadier Molina, the first baseman, making his 5th career start at first base. First one of the year. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. They want to keep his bat in the lineup, but they want him to, I don't want to say get off his feet, but not have to squat in the catcher's position the whole game. Fly ball left center field. Odubel Herrera and Tyler Goodell are over. And Odubel makes the catch. 2 outs. Speaking of Aaron Nola, last night our cold hard fact brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. He became the 2nd Phillies pitcher ever to throw 7 or more scoreless innings with 2 hits or fewer in back-to-back starts. The other was Dick Ruthven in 1979.
That's impressive, just the fact that some of the pitchers that have been here before.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cliff Lee,
Curt Schilling, Roy Halladay,
Doc.
That Cole Hamels guy.
Who? Oh yeah, Cole.
Steve Carlton. 0-2 to Jed Jerko.
Great location with that fastball inside. Even better to see it double up with another fastball inside.
Softly out towards shallow right center field. Long run for everyone, and it's going to drop. I think David Lowe, if he had continued, might have caught that ball, but for some reason he sensed that Cesar Hernandez was closer to him. So it'll be a base hit. They were playing awfully deep. Kind of no man's land over there, the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, you can see right here, David Lowe coming in hard. Right there, he kind of takes a peek to his right, it looked like, and pulled up just a hair.
He covered a lot of ground. So the first hit for either team is a bloop single for Jed Jerko. And now Ruben Tejada, who has faced the Phillies a lot in his career with 6 years in the big leagues with the New York Mets, a lifetime .286 hitter. With a couple home runs against the Phils. His numbers were okay last year against the Phillies, but the year before that and the year before that, they couldn't get him out.
It really is part of it. It's so funny, and you cannot understand it, or you can't figure it out, how some teams you just dominate hitting wise or pitching wise against, and some teams that might have the worst starting staff in the bullpen in baseball, you can't buy a hit.
Yeah, there's just something about a comfort level against certain teams. We were talking about that even last night with Colton Wong against Aaron Nola. His first couple of bats, he looked like he was in a rocking chair against Aaron Nola. He was comfortable. Swing and a miss. 1-2.
And it's not as if teams are pitching you different than other teams. You know, majority of the teams are going to pitch you pretty much the same to your, you know, either fastball away or fastball in, and they're going to throw the changeup off the fastball, whatever it is. But just some bad luck. Baseball.
Foul ball down the right field line. Bill Miller whispering into the ear of Jed Jerko. He's at first base. Jim Maloney's over at the third base coach's box. He took over for Jose Oquendo, took a leave of absence. Runner goes and then stops, pitches back off the mound, off the glove of Morgan. He gets to it quickly, sweeps the throw to first in time, and the side is retired. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left for the Cardinals. We've played 2. On to the third. Lowe, Morgan, and Goodell when we come back.
Right field, that's a long part of the ballpark. It is gone for a home run. Nick Williams wins it in the 10th for the Iron Pigs.
Mike Zambelli with the call as Nick Williams walks it off. It was a 2-run shot with 2 outs in the 10th. It was his 2nd of the season, and the Pigs win it last night 6-4. Citizens Bank, next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. Guys?
Well, it's nice to see Nick Williams swinging the bat the way he is. You know, he started off slowly, but then got very comfortable, and he does have a sweet swing. He was sick for a little bit of time, too, and that's what caused him to get off to somewhat of a slow start. So these fans who are here in St. Louis to watch the ball club will probably get a chance to see Nick Williams at some point this year. David Lowe will stand in. It'll be Lowe, Morgan, and Goodell against right-hander Mike Leake. Pitch is outside. Mike Leake is wearing number 8. He wore number 44 with the Reds, and then when he went to the Giants, he wore number 13. He's one of 3 pitchers currently as that ball is hit sharply to first. Yadier Molina's there. He's one of 3 pitchers currently in the big leagues that is wearing a single-digit number. It's just kind of an oddity to see. But that's the number he wore when he was at Arizona State. So when the Cardinals asked what number he wanted to wear, he decided to go back to his college number. I'm trying to think about who the other 2 are.
No. Well,
you were thinking.
For a second, I was
thinking.
But it's funny because a lot of people say it looks different. Why? I mean, why does a pitcher have to have a high number? Or when a position player has a high number, everyone's like, oh, it must be the number he wore in spring training when he made the team. You can wear 104 on your back of your jersey as long as you're in the big leagues. Who cares?
Could you wear 104?
Billy Martin had 103 players one year in spring training.
I remember that. Leake makes a nice play and throws out Adam Morton. 2 outs. Back when they first gave out numbers to major league players, it was the Yankees that were the first ones to do it. Pitchers were in the teens because the first 9 or first 8 players in the batting order were given their number based on where they hit in the order. And then number 9 went to the backup catcher traditionally. And then after that, the pitchers. 10, 11, 12, whatever.
I would think it would go by the positioning of the field. Pitcher wears 1.
One ball and no strikes to Tyler Goeddel. Hitting a .160. No homers and 1 RBI. High chopper toward the hole. It's short. This will be a tough play. Diaz gets rid of it and throws him out. Goeddel looks back at Mickey Morandini. Mickey didn't really react, but that was a fantastic play by Aledmys Diaz. A 7-pitch inning. Watch this release, how quickly he got it over to first base to get a fast runner. And we'll head to the bottom of the 3rd. Coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE since 2015. Buy your Delaware Valley Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer or visit DelValHondaDealers.com. And by WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy rights. Along with Matt Stairs and Greg Murphy. Bottom of the 3rd inning. I'm Tom McCarthy. Phillies and the Cardinals are scoreless. Eric Fryer will lead it off, and he takes low. 1 ball and no strikes. Matt, what do you got? An old-fashioned pencil sharpener today?
Yep, that I do.
Fryer taps one in front of the plate. Ruiz throws him out. Time now for the Jeep Stump the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information, and please submit your answer on the subject line. All right, Matt, here we go. What 3 teams has Matt Holliday played for? What 3 teams has Matt Holliday played for? Boy, that's an easy one. Answer will be revealed in just a little bit. Mike Leake, a big rip and a miss. It's 0-1. Leake with 6 career home runs. 1 for 9 so far this year. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Got him. Strikeout number 1 for Morgan. Is that a cutter?
Hey, 84.
Yeah, but it wasn't a changeup.
No. They had some pretty good movement on whatever it was. At 84, it's a little slider.
Well, every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, and Morgan's already done it once, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And that was the curve that you like so much. I think we both like it.
Which froze Diaz. He had no idea how to react to it.
Diaz flied out to low his first time. Late on a fastball. It's 0-2.
If Adam could get used to throwing the curveball with 2 strikes and trying to bounce it right behind home plate, he'd get a lot of guys swinging at it.
Well, there you go. I mean, it wasn't a curve, but it was a breaking pitch. And he's able to pick up back-to-back strikeouts to finish up the 3rd. That is a 9-pitch inning for Adam Morgan. 1-2-3 go to the Cardinals. We played 3 on to the 4th in a scoreless game. Let's go places. Let's go Phillies. Top of the 4th. Top of the order due up for the Phils. Cardinals have 1 hit. Phillies do not have a hit. Mike Leake has retired the first 9 hitters that he has faced. 6 groundouts, 2 strikeouts, and then the fly out to right by Odubel Herrera. Odubel flied out to the track his first time up. Left field line. That looked like an even bigger leg kick than what Odubel normally shows. From one moment to another in his at bats, his leg kick is different.
Yeah, I don't mind this big leg kick. Because what it does is just get him back there and make sure that his weight stays back. Sometimes he'll have a little smaller leg kick, a quicker leg kick. I find when he has that big leg kick, he starts it nice and early. It's almost like a Sarahara O, the great home run hitter over in Japan, who just sat there and waited and then reacted.
That one is a bullet. Diving stop by Molina, and he flips the lead covering. 1 out. 2 solid defensive plays by the Cardinals' revamped infield tonight.
See Molina cheating going to the left, so tells me that there's some signs being relayed to your corner infielders where the pitch is going to be thrown or what's being thrown. A lot of times you can look at the catcher, and if he sits there and he'll swipe the dirt on the right side with his bare hand, means it's going to be a fastball or a cutter inside, allowing the first baseman to be ready for a ball possibly to hit at you.
I have to admit, I never realized that they would do that.
Oh, all the time.
Curveball, and it's 0-1 to Galvis, who grounded out his first time up. Change up, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike.
But it can be anything. It can be someone will touch the dirt. You might touch your shin pad on the right side with your bare hand. You're always trying to relay something to your infielders. Remember back before I started playing pro ball, the shortstop and the second baseman would give the signs to the outfielders.
Yes.
You know, open hand, off speed, close hand. It's going to be a fastball. Telling your outfielders.
They don't do that anymore?
No.
There's a bloop out to left, and the first hit of the night for the Phils comes off the bat of Freddie Galvis. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Mets shut out the Braves 8-0. Steven Matz 7 2/3, 8 strikeouts. Lucas Duda hit 2 home runs. He now has 7. Mets have won their 17th game.
It's a quick 7 home runs. We saw it last year. He had a couple of areas where he hit a lot of home runs, got cold, and hit a lot of home runs again.
Home runs have been tough to come by if you're the Atlanta Braves. All around baseball, teams are saying this player has more home runs than the Braves. Or, you know, this team hit more home runs than the Braves. Hit more home runs this week than the Braves have the entire year. It has been a tough season for Atlanta. One ball, no strikes to Maikel Franco. In the dirt. Braves have been held to 1 or no runs in 8 of their 27 games so far.
Ouch. Now, I watch when Maikel Franco's hitting. I love watching his hands. His hands are nice and relaxed, and he has that movement. That's where he has that timing with his hands. And that's how he gets that hands back into that power position. We call it the power load. Right there when he's moving his hands. Sometimes his hands stay out away from his body, which causes surrounding the baseball and casting, we call it. He has to keep those hands tight into his body the whole time. See, his hands are going around. Now, all of a sudden, he should think about passing that bat back to the umpire's left shoulder. So here you go. But now, all of a sudden, see how his hands are casting out away from his body? Now his barrel is getting outside the baseball and becoming a pull hitter. And I said, I don't mind pull hitters as long as you pull the ball properly.
There's ball 4. Do you want him to start that earlier? Get the hands back earlier? Will that help?
No, I think. Well, I mean, some guys don't like getting their hands back that early, but I think when you're moving your hands around, you're moving them around, and all of a sudden you think, okay, here you go, umpire. I'm going to pass you the bat back to your left shoulder. You just need to keep your hands in there tight. And you hear Ben talk about keeping that elbow tight into your body, the back elbow. Once those hands, we call it a cast swing. Once you cast your hands away from your body, now you're pretty much smothering the baseball. And that's why you hit a lot of weak ground balls. Or we talk about hitting a lot of weak fly balls like Caesar does sometimes.
Phillies have a couple base runners. Ryan Howard is up. He struck out his first time. And he takes low 1-0. And Fryer will go out and chat with Mike Leake. kind of lost his command a little bit here. 32 strikes, 13 balls so far.
Well, it's amazing how all of a sudden, the first 9 hitters, 10 hitters he gets out. Now all of a sudden he goes in the stretch and he's fighting it. Now he has to worry about who's on first base. His momentum is not the exact same. His rhythm's off a little bit, and now he's worrying about base runners.
Ryan Howard should get a pretty good pitch as long as Lee can command it.
Yes, he should, and don't be surprised he doesn't throw a lot of changeups, but 2-0, you don't want to groove a fastball to Ryan.
And a high fly ball deep to right center field. On the run is Grichuk. It is gone. A 3-run home run for Ryan Howard up the lawn. And the Phillies take a 3-0 lead here in the top of the 4th inning.
Well, Tom, you were right on the money about saying he should get a pretty good pitch to hit.
He didn't miss it.
And he did not. Home sweet home.
7th home run of the year for Howard. 14 RBIs now. And James Smickel of Belvedere, New Jersey, you've just won $100 thanks to Howard in the McDonald's home run jackpot.
Now that's just a good swing, getting extended. You can see that elbow staying close into his body, going through that baseball. Very nice. It's a great shot right there they just had on the screen.
Well, that's a big time power. Another one over 400 feet for Howard in this series. 1-0 pitch to Ruiz, breaking ball. Ryan Howard is homered against the Cardinals. He has a home run rate of 10.95 at bats. Now, that is the best home run rate in the history of the St. Louis Cardinals for an opponent. 421 feet on that home run.
Loud, nice, easy swing. 420 plus.
2-1 pitch coming to Ruiz, and Carlos lifts it in the air to shallow left center field. Well, it's nice to work with the lead, and the Phils have the lead here in the 4th inning.
It's amazing how this game can turn so quickly when you're cruising through the first 10 hitters. Then Freddie Galvis gets a knock, and then all of a sudden you start thinking too much. You start worrying about runners at first base instead of making a quality pitch and getting out of the inning with a double play ball. Best hit in baseball is the 3-run homer.
Well, we certainly
It really
haven't
is.
seen it enough this year. It's nice to see. Phillies have homered now 23 times, which is the 11th most in the National League. This is not going to be a home run hitting team, but they do have a couple guys in that lineup that have that ability, including Ryan Howard. Here's the 2-2 pitch to Hernandez. Outside, 3-2. Line drive, base hit it to right center field.
Good swing right there. Very good swing. He keeps his head down, barrel nice and flat through that zone. Stop talking, get your secondary lead, and steal second. Mike Leake does not hold runners on very well. That's why he throws over to first base so often. He's very slow to home with his delivery.
He's got that little rock in his delivery, falling back a little bit.
Cesar gets a good jump. No chance of throwing him out.
Well, that is the 28th pitch of the inning for Leake. Just to kind of put it in perspective, he threw 31 pitches the first 3 innings. Ricky Morandini is talking to Cesar right now. He may be just telling him, hey, you got to go.
Well, you have to go. You have to. Because you have Morgan on deck. If you get thrown out, so what? Now you have David Lowe leading off. Now, if he changes his delivery and does a pitch out, then you break it down and come back. But you have to go.
There he goes. And it was a breaking ball, hit foul. And he got an excellent jump. If that pitch had gone past Lowe, if he hadn't swung, he would have had the base stolen easily.
Oh, easily. But again, I would like to see it done before the hitter gets a strike on him. Hitters will take a pitch for base runners to steal a base. One strike and that's it. That's all you get. Good lead at first base.
Well, he had a big lead at first base, and Yadier Molina says, take a look at it. He stretched that about a half a step more than what he had before. Cesar time and again last year would get picked off. Cardinals have not decided whether they want to challenge it or not. I don't know if those 2 replays that we showed you would dictate a challenge by the Cardinals. I think it's too close to call. David Bell hopped off the bench to go look at it. Looks like his hand got in there, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
Outside, 2-2. .62 pitches now for Leake, 31 in this inning. 31 in the first 3, 31 in this inning alone. Cesar takes off. Fly ball left field. Backing up on it is Matt Holliday. And the side is retired. But the Phillies have taken the lead. The homecoming continues. Ryan Howard, his second home run of the series. This one well over 400 feet up the lawn. A 3-run shot, and the Phillies have the lead. stand out, add a little color. Avery Neon shipping labels ensure all your shipping messages get noticed. Perfect for any priority message. And WB Mason delivers the same day when you order by 11:30. Local service, personalized. Who but WB Mason. Phillies lead at 3-0. And we go to the bottom of the fourth. Piscotty swings at the first pitch from Adam Morgan. One away. Well, that was very helpful by Piscotty.
It's amazing. You know, you have to watch scouting reports on, you know, Adam Morgan throughout his early career. Throws a lot of pitches. But they have a game plan. They're going to attack early. I have no problems.
Matt Holliday takes low. It's 1 ball and no strikes. So far, we've seen Adam Morgan, would you say, top out 92 with his 4-seam fastball. Last time out, he threw 49 4-seam fastballs. Now, these numbers are courtesy of Pitch Effects, but 49 4-seam fastballs with an average velocity of 92.06. Last year in September, his average velocity in his 4-seamer was 89.63. So I didn't think there was that much of a difference in his velocity, but I mean, it's a drastic difference.
Oh, it is. And it's just not, people are saying, well, it's 3 miles an hour, 2.5. I mean, that's a matter of 10, 12 inches. Plus 92 has a little more giddy up. Right there. It just gets to that point where it just kind of kicks in at 92 and it rises a little bit.
Competitive kid.
You're right.
26 years old, out of Marietta, Georgia. And part of the reason why his velocity was in the high 80s to about 90 last year is he was coming back from the shoulder surgery, which he had in January of 2014. Outside, 3-2. Not too many 3-ball, 2-strike counts tonight for Adam Morgan. Grichuk is on deck. And that's a fair ball down the right field line. It hits off that small wall, and Holliday will cruise into second with his 9th double of the year. That's only the second hit for St. Louis. Teva respiratory night at Citizens Bank Park is Saturday, May 14th, when the Phillies take on the Cincinnati Reds. A free Phillies cap to all fans. Tickets can be purchased anytime by going to Phillies.com. There's that hat we were talking about. It's a great giveaway. One of 2 hats that the Phillies have given out or will have given out this year. Grichuk fly to right his first time up. Holliday with a good lead off second.
By the way, Holliday can just flat out hit. Not very often do you have a guy in the middle of your order, 3-4 guy, who has power from line to line and he can hit doubles. Like, that ball was a pretty good pitch, 3-2 away.
Yeah, and Howard was playing basically where he's playing right now, so there was no chance for him to get it. I don't know if Holliday meant to do that. It's just the way.
His approach was going that way.
No balls and 2 strikes to Grichuk.
Good time for one of those hard sliders or a curveball. right behind home plate again.
Ooh, boy, that's a pretty good pitch. 92.
Morgan's slider and his changeup is hard to determine which is which. You know, his changeup is anywhere between 77, 79. We've seen a slider 84 today. That one's 81. Almost the same kind of motion.
Back-to-back 3-2 pitches coming, or 3-2 counts, I should say. First Holiday, now Grichuk, and the pitch. Just a bit high, ball 4. Carlos is saying something to the home plate umpire. I thought there were a couple pitches. That one was probably a little high, but there was one earlier that looked pretty good with 2 strikes that Quinn Walcott did not give Adam Morgan. Yadier Molina is coming up. Phillies up 3-0. Is he nibbling a little bit here?
A little bit. I mean, he had 0-2 last hitter. Ended up walking him on a 3-2 off-speed pitch.
Yadier Molina fouls it. And it's 0-1. Molina last time up, flied out to center field. I would say pitchers more nibble when they throw more off-speed pitches to the corner. You know, you're trying to get the hitter to fish. You want to get them off balance. Guys that are throwing 92, 93, which he did,
and just missing off the corner.
They're just missing.
Exactly. They're trying to paint that corner. They're just missing.
It's Bob McClure, Phillies pitching coach. Ken Rosenthal, one of the national writers, did a fantastic piece on Bob McClure that was out today. If you get a chance to see it, it's on the Fox website. The ball's in 1 strike to Molina. Inside, 1-1. Toward third, a foul ball. It's 1-2. I was interested to see if Molina did hit one down to third base, because I want to see if Maikel Franco and the work he's done with Larry Bowa the last couple of days would pay off. Maikel has had trouble starting and helping with the 5-4-3 double plays, and they've been working on his throws to second base over the last few days. Foul ball, just foul, and it remains 1-2. Larry Bowa worked on it yesterday during BP, worked on it again today during BP. We'll work on it on Friday early in Miami. Bowa said he's throwing kind of a sinker to second base, and it's
basically a two-seamer.
Basically a two-seamer, and it's tough for Hernandez to handle it. Slowly to the left side, Galvis has it. They'll get the trail runner, Molina, for the second out. And the runners move up to second and third. Two outs, 2 runners in scoring position. Jed Jerko will be the hitter for St. Louis.
Seems like Adam has lost the feel of that fastball. Now he's been throwing a few more off-speed pitches right now. He's just been missing with his fastball.
Back toward the middle. Cesar Hernandez has it, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 men left. That last pitch was at 93 miles an hour, and the Cards are now 3 for 18 in this series with runners in scoring position. Lewis, the Phillies lead it 3-0. Adam Morgan will lead it off. He is 0 for 1. Facing Mike Leake here in the top of the 5th. And it's no balls and 1 strike. On the inside corner, 0-2. Phillies begin play tonight 3 games out in the National League East at 16-11. How about this division aside from the Braves and how good it's been this year? Washington's atop the division at 19-8. Mets are 17-9. Phils are 16-11. And Miami is a game over 500 at 13-12. That's a pretty good division.
Very good pitching in the division.
Swing and a miss. Morgan strikes out. 3rd strikeout for Leake. And here's Tyler Goodell, who was robbed of a hit his first time up. Other 2 divisions in the National League are not playing the same kind of baseball as the Phillies are. I mean, there's some really good teams. Obviously, the Cubs are an excellent team with a run differential that is through the roof.
It's amazing. It really is. A month and a few days into the season.
Yeah, they beat the Pirates today 6-2, so their run differential is plus 93. They will have a series beginning tomorrow night against the Washington Nationals. 2-1 to Tyler Goodell. Jed Jerko takes care for 2 outs. And Odubel Herrera is coming up. Follow the Phillies all season long with the MLB.com @BAT app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com @BAT, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Line drive deep to right field. Going back is Piscotty. It is gone into the Cardinals bullpen. An aggressive Odubel Herrera hits his third home run of the season, and the Phillies are on top 4-0. That was a bullet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the exit velocity
I
on
knew
that
you were
ball
going to say
was.
that.
Oh, that's why I absolutely love when he swings the bat. Look at that. Nice timing, leg up, and just hits a missile to right field.
2 home runs tonight for the Phillies. A 3-run shot by Howard. The solo shot by Herrera. Phil's lead at 4-0. Freddie Galvis takes a curve. .400-foot shot by Odubel. Galvis bunts and Leake off the mound, bare hands, fires, and the side is retired. But the Phils tack on another one. Their second home run of the night against Mike Leake. This one off the bat of Odubel Herrera. El Torito strikes here in the 5th inning. A solo home run to make it 4-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th here in St. Louis. Phillies seats, get the StubHub app. Not only will you find seats you'll love, whatever you want, you can find the best seat for your buck when you sort by best value. We take the price and location of seats and show you which tickets at StubHub give you the best deal. So get the StubHub app today. Adam Morgan has a 4-run lead to work with as we start the bottom of the 5th. He'll face the bottom of the order, Tejada, Eric Fryer, and then the pitcher's spot. Tejada grounded out his first time up. Handcuffed on that offering. It's 0-2. Line drive, foul, just foul. That is a reviewable play. It looked from up here like it did go to the left of the line, that it was a foul ball. Third base umpire Ryan Blakeney was right on it. Ruben Tejada has taken his time coming back to the box because David Bell, the bench coach for the Cardinals, is on the horn.
How close is this come hitting the glove?
Pretty close. Like, there was no kick of the chalk or anything. Well, they're going to ask to review this. I'm surprised by that. Maybe there's something that we didn't see that Mark Carlson and Ryan Blakeney will get help from New York. that shot that we showed you, it looked like, just looking beyond Maikel Franco, that it was to the left of the line, that there was nothing that kicked up, that it wasn't on the line or anything like that.
Now, with this play, are they challenging that the ball is fair?
Fair.
Or now can New York say that it hit the glove of the third baseman? That's the reason why it's fair.
You know what? That's a good point.
Do they have to ask? They have to ask for the one.
No, they can. They will look at it in its entirety, and if there's something like that, if the ball did hit the glove, then they will see that. I have to admit, Matt, I wasn't looking at that on that replay to see if the ball did hit Maikel Franco's glove. Take a look at the slow-mo. I don't think it hit his glove.
I don't think so either.
Walcott was right on it.
I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of camera views that are going to give you a great look at that.
You know, looking at that replay, something did kick up. But honestly, I can't tell whether it was chalk or not, or paint, whatever it is that they have down there. I don't know if this one's going to be conclusive enough to even consider overturning.
Well, the fans usually let you know because they show the replay over and over on the old big
they
screen.
haven't reacted at all.
No.
He was looking right at it. I don't know. A lot of times we have a pretty good idea of whether it's right or wrong just by looking at the replays with everybody else. I can't see how they would overturn this at all. Now all it has to do is hit a little piece of that line. But I don't think they can use what we've shown you and decide that. Tejada's still sitting at home plate. Take another look at it. Does not hit his glove.
I don't see anything kicking up.
It looks like there might be a little bit that popped up. Yeah, it looked. I mean, just by the slow-mo. We didn't see it real speed, and we didn't see it.
You have a better
full
monitor.
speed. Well, this is taking an awfully long time. I mean, they're slowing it down and going frame by frame by frame. Something did kick up, but I can't definitively tell you if it's the chalk or paint down the left field line. It could be dirt that's mixed into the grass. I mean, Tejada, I mean, he's sitting around home plate. He's digging out a spot where he wants to stand.
This could be one of the longer ones of the year.
Honestly, I think this is the longest one. Watch it blown up. Did not hit his glove. I don't know. I'd say no, but
this game had a pretty good pace going to
sure
it.
Did. Good thing you're not going to the hockey game tonight, man. I think there has to be, you know, sort of a limit to the amount of time they can look at it. I mean, this is
no question.
At this point, if they can't see it in New York, then you can't overturn it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is too long. I'm all for. I mean, I think everybody's all for getting it right, but there's nothing conclusive if it's taking this long for them to review this.
No, and there's two people that suffer from it. One, Adam Morgan, and Mike Leake. He's sitting around longer.
If I'm Pete Mackanin, I'm close to that. Now here we go. They're going to take the headphones off. It looks like they're going to award him second base. Wow, I cannot believe they are going to award him second base. No, they're going to award him second base. I mean, that's right. No, they're going to award him first base.
No, he has to touch first.
Oh, he has to touch first. Oh, that's silly. So here comes Pete Mackanin. Now, he cannot argue this call at all. I mean, it's all up to New York and nobody else. Mark Carlson's the crew chief.
You can't argue it, but you can get an explanation.
You can get an explanation. They don't have to give him an explanation, but he can request it.
You make him wait that long, you better.
I am shocked that they took that long and it was that conclusive that they overturned it. That's the longest we've had. That's a 5-minute review. 5 minutes. Take one more look. We will get an explanation from New York, but they must have sensed that something kicked up, that there was chalk. You see that? See that?
I'm not convinced it's chalk, though.
Well, I don't know if it is either. All right, so runner at second base, a leadoff double, and Eric Fryer will be the batter. Fryer tapped one right in front of the plate. Foul tip, and it's 0-1. Dirt. Tejada went halfway between second and third, but then goes back.
You know, it'd be a great idea on those replays when a play gets overturned, is have an announcement of what happened. And let the fans know.
Yeah, normally at home we hear Dan Baker a lot of times. Outside, 2-1. I agree with you. Outside, 3-1. Nobody out here in the bottom of the fifth inning. Phillies up 4-0. Adam Morgan has allowed 3 hits so far. And ball 4 puts runners on first and second. Second straight inning that he's put runners on first and seconds. All right, so now he's got to bear down. Bob McClure will walk out to the mound and give him a moment. Brandon Moss will be the pinch hitter for Mike Leake. The explanation from Major League Baseball on the double by Ruben Tejada was, after viewing all relevant angles, they did feel like the ball struck the foul line. So whatever we saw, they determined that that was chalk and not just, dirt that's out there that was kicked up. Still thought it took too long to make it definitive. But it is what it is, and it's over with. Turned out to be a good challenge by Mike Matheny, though. Cardinals have 7 pinch hit home runs. They are the best hitting team off the bench in the National League. They have 19 pinch hits overall. Breaking ball on the inside corner, 0-1. and 2. How do you want to pitch Moss here? Do you want a slider, Matt? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm thinking something down the zone, off the plate a little bit, get him to fish for that hard slider. Probably his best pitch tonight, you know, besides being able to throw 92 and 93. We've seen a curveball, fastball, just something just off the plate, low and away. Hopefully he gets out there just a little early. Moss hits a weak ground ball to second or to first.
A liner out toward left field. Goodell will play it on a hop. They're holding the runner at third. The bases are loaded with nobody out. And Diaz will be the batter. Well, that is the 20th pinch hit now for the St. Louis Cardinals this year. Phillies play the infield at double play depth. They're just looking for an out. They'd love two. Diaz is 0 for 2. He's flied out to right field and he is struck out. Morgan is rattled a little bit here with the bases loaded.
Yeah, definitely Moss pitch, the 0-2 fastball. Not what he wanted to throw, or not in the area he wanted to throw.
Over towards shortstop. Galvis can't get it. It's off his glove. One run is in. The throw to the plate to get the second runner. He is safe at home plate. It's a 4-2 ball game. If he is indeed safe and the Phillies will look at it, that's a heck of a slide by Fryer. Pete Mackanin is going to challenge this one here. Boy, that one was tough to tell also. Carlos does tag him, but does the hand have the plate before he tags him in the chest? Right there, he's out. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. All right, so they'll review this one. The last one took 5 minutes and a second. Boy, this would be huge if they get him here. To your left is Quinn Walcott, the home plate umpire. Mark Carlson, the crew chief. It looks like right there he's got his arm before the hand hits the plate, and then it rolls onto his chest. Watch it again. Let's try to stop it when the glove hits the right there and the hand is not, well, I can't tell if it's on the plate or not. It doesn't look like it's on the plate. It looks like it's getting to the plate.
Watch the sleeve of the white shirt.
Right. It goes.
The sleeve moves on the sleeve on his arm.
Right there. Yeah, and he's not at the plate yet. At least it doesn't look like it.
So you're not looking, you're looking right in here where the initial tag is, but Tejada is blocking home plate.
Boy, this is a big play right here. This is what Major League Baseball can do, is roll it back like that. Look at his hand. He's tagged there, and his hand, I don't know if it's on the plate or not. We're kind of guessing along with New York. they've already made one call in this inning, the double to Tejada, that instead of a foul ball, it was called a double.
Right, and the only, like you said, Tejada's blocking home plate, the view, so it's hard to see. I just noticed the sleeve.
Yeah, here we go.
Comes the decision.
He is safe at home plate.
Basil
can't get a break. So runners on first and second. It's going to be a 2-run single for Diaz. And Piscotty will be the batter. Phillies again will set up to turn 2. They still have the 2-run lead here in the home 5th inning. Bullpen action. Colton Murray is starting to warm up.
Might be a good time to have a little visit to the mound just to calm him down a little bit. Things are rolling pretty good. The 5-minute delay. 0-2 pitch.
On the outside corner, 0-1. But a good hitter with runners in scoring position. 16 RBIs for Piscotty. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Back toward the middle, a base hit into center field. Rounding third, heading for home is Moss. The throw into the plate is cut off by Howard. It's a 3-run inning for the Cardinals. It's now a 4-3 ball game.
Just missed catching that line drive back up the middle.
Well, that's going to be it for Adam Morgan, so his night is done. He pitched well for the first 4 innings, but he's allowed 3 runs in this inning without an out, and the Cardinals have runners on first and second. Colton Murray is coming on. The Phillies on top 4-3. including discounts, theme nights, party areas, plenty of benefits and special options with group tickets. Groups of 25 or more, special fundraising opportunities, a great way to raise funds and awareness. For more information, go to Phillies.com/group tickets. 4-3, Phillies on top with nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Adam Morgan is done after 4+ innings. He is charged so far with 3 runs, but the 2 runners on base are his responsibility. And he'll give the ball over to Colton Murray. Murray's pitched in 1 game so far with the Phils, just a 1/3 of an inning. It's a big spot for him. And Matt Holliday is the batter. He doubled, his last time up. Paints the outside corner with 94. Murray has a good fastball, has an excellent curveball. That's his out pitch. Over to second base. This should be 2. There's 1 and 2. Over to third base will go Diaz. 4-6-3 on that double play. And now Randal Grichuk is coming up. Major League Baseball has alerted us that they could not definitively say whether Fryer's hand was on the plate when the tag. They acknowledged that the tag was on the arm, but they could not definitively say whether Fryer's hand was on the plate or not. So that's why the call stood. The second replay. Grichuk walked his last time. Swing and a miss. 0-1. That's the look. That's the stunned look of Adam Morgan, who was just pitching so well until this inning.
Well, to the 5-minute delay.
Yeah. Sharply to short, 1 hop to Galvis, and a high throw. Grichuk is tagged out, and the side is retired. Well, this was an eventful bottom of the 5th inning. 3-run score for the Cardinals in the inning. Mike Matheny wants to hold the defense, and I believe they're going to try to challenge this one, or at least they're thinking about it. David Bell is on the phone. Now, naked eye, it looked like Howard did tag Grichuk, and Grichuk is giving his helmet to the first base coach. Take a look. We are wearing out replay in this inning. And he did get him on the shoulder before he came anywhere near the bag. In fact, he never even touched the first base bag. The inning is over. Mikel's bat is connected with consistency and done so with eye-opening power as expected when he arrived at the major league level. In addition to the bat, the glove has been quite impressive itself over at the hot corner. Quick on his feet, Franco rarely lets a ball get by, and he can make throws from wherever he lands. And his early season performance is brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Well, Franco is going to lead things off, and he'll do so here in the top of the 6th inning against Matt Bowman. So Bowman will take over for Mike Leake, who goes 5 innings and is charged with 4 hits and 4 runs, 2 home runs. And Franco takes a fastball. It's 0-1.
Bowman, pretty good numbers on the year. Good fastball, 90-93. Slider tops out at 88, which is more like a slider, or a cutter, sorry.
That one is back behind home plate, and it's 0-2. Bowman was selected out of the Mets organization in a Rule 5 draft, so he'll have to be with the team the whole year. Swing and a miss. He gets Franco. 1 away. Well, that'll bring Ryan Howard to the plate. And things that make you smile from cricket, well, this will make you smile. 3-run bomb, and the Phillies need all of this tonight.
Make you smile, make your ears hurt a little bit too. Well, it's crushed the center field.
So Howard is up here. He's 1 for 2. Takes low, 1-0. By the way, Major League Baseball has also let us know that the ball down the left field line, they use their own in-stadium camera, which they zoomed in on to be able to tell that that ball, in their minds, hit chalk, which is why it was a fair ball. One ball and 1 strike to Howard. Inside, 2-1.
Tells me, though, they took 5 minutes. They weren't 100% sure.
Yeah, that's my feeling. I mean, fortunately, though, they were able to get the double play ball off the bat of Matt Holliday, which was huge. And then Howard was able to make the tag on Grichuk. So the Phillies maintain the lead as there's 1 out here in the top of the 6th. 2-2 pitch to Howard. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Bowman. And Carlos Ruiz will be the hitter. He's 0 for 2. Chopper back towards shortstop, and it's fielded by Diaz. An easy inning for Bowman. Phillies go down quietly in their half of the 6th inning. We've completed 5.5. We're on to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's the Phillies 4 and the Cardinals 3. Time sales event. Toyota, let's go places. Buy McDonald's. Jumpstart your morning with a hot or iced McCafe coffee. Now starting at just $1. And buy your local Ford stores. Four to 3 in the bottom of the 6th inning. And Yadier Molina will lead it off against Colton Murray, who's on in relief of Adam Morgan. Colton Murray was able to get the 3 outs in the 5th inning. And now delivers a fastball in tight. And it's 1 ball and no strikes. Phillies bullpen has been excellent. The first 4 games of the year when the Phillies were 0-4, the bullpen 15 earned runs and 10 2/3 innings of work. And quite honestly, I think everybody was a little worried about what the bullpen was going to present. But since that time, the ERA is 3.18, among the best in Major League Baseball. Ball 4. Time now for the Jeep Stump the Fans trivia quiz answer. All right, Matt, here we go. What 3 teams has Matt Holliday played for during his career?
Colorado Rockies, Oakland A's, Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals, that is correct. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. And thanks for playing Jeep Stump the Fans. Jerko lifts it foul over the Cardinals dugout. Jerko has a single, and he's also grounded out to second base tonight. Elvis Araujo starting to warm up in the pen. Jerko just said that pitch was down.
The middle.
Yeah. It does seem like it's been a strike most of the night.
Bottom of the knees.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty good pitch.
To the front knee. Doesn't matter about the back knee, it's the front knee.
Curveball hit toward third. Franco, ooh, nice play. Whips it over to second for 1. And they will not turn 2. They do get the lead runner. That was a tough hop for Maikel Franco to handle. Fielder's choice. And Ruben Tejada is coming up.
It's a great play right here. Takes that wicked hop right there. Goes up nicely. At that point, you knew they weren't going to be able to roll double play. But again, he threw that 2-seamer to second base. But very nice play, though. See how he drops down a little bit, gets underneath it.
Yeah, that's what Bo was talking about, that they're trying to break him of that. Now that one was a tougher play just because he had to, fall back to make it. Tejada had the doubles last time up down the left field line. He scored one of the 3 runs for the Cardinals in the 5th.
Take another hard ground ball right here. A little 6-4-3.
Bailey has joined Elvis Araujo in the bullpen. Well, he should have everybody ready for tonight's ball game. Neris threw 15 pitches last night. Gomez threw 18 pitches. Those are the only two guys that worked out of the pen. Everybody else has had a couple days because Oberholzer was able to pitch the innings needed out of the pen the other night in the blowout loss to the Cardinals. Runner goes, pitches whacked towards shortstop. Galvis has it, and there are 2 outs. So by starting Jerko, they stay out of the double play. 2 away, and Fryer is going to be asked to come back, and then we'll see who they send up, if it's Matt Adams or not, or Matt Carpenter. It will be Carpenter. And let's see if Keith McCannon comes to get Colton Murray. And it brings in Elvis Araujo. So Carpenter's been announced. Pete is heading out. He signals to the pen for Elvis Araujo. We'll have a pitching change here at Busch Stadium. The Phillies maintaining a 1-run lead in the bottom of the 6th inning with 2 men down. Well, the Phillies take on the Cincinnati Reds. A bat and ball set free to fans 14 and under. And then after the game, it's Nemours Kids Run the Bases. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com. There's a picture of the bat and ball set. Here at Busch Stadium, the Phillies lead it by 1, and Elvis Araujo is on to face Matt Carpenter. Carpenter was given the night off, his first time not in the starting lineup this year. Hitting .235, facing Araujo, and lefties are hitting a .143 against Araujo. Carpenter is hitting .250 against lefties, .230 against right-handers this year. Jerko takes his lead off second. First pitch is in there, 0-1. 1 strike.
Look at the St. Louis Cardinals do not have a right-handed pinch hitter on the bench
I was
tonight.
just thinking about that.
5 lefties.
Yeah, because Hazelbaker, who's now in the on-deck circle, is the one you don't see often. And he is a left-handed batter. They've already used Moss, a left-handed batter. On the inside corner, a fastball. It's 1-2. That one's blooped out towards short, caught out of the air by Freddie Galvis. And a nice job by Elvis Araujo. Well, so far the Phillies bullpen has gotten 2 innings. We'll head to the 7th. The Cardinals leave 1. Phillies up 4-3 if we go to the top of the 7th. Delaware Valley Honda Dealers game summary has the Phillies on top 4-3. They had a 4-0 lead. Then the Cardinals scored 3 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Adam Morgan went 4+. He allowed 3 earned runs. And as we go to the 7th, Matt Bowman comes out for a 2nd inning. His first one was pretty quick. And he will face Cesar Hernandez, David Lowe, and the pitcher's spot for the Phils. He just broke his bat. You heard it ping around as it fell to the ground. 1-3 on the putout. And here comes Lowe. Well, the Phillies had that 4-0 lead, and then things unraveled with the 3-run 5th inning for the Cards. Now they got to get some runs here. They had a lot of momentum on their side. Matt Carpenter, by the way, stays in the game. He's at first base. Yadier Molina goes from first to behind the plate. David Lowe is 0 for 2. He bunts toward third, and it is a foul ball.
Nice job by Colton Murray coming in that inning. Getting a double play, some ground balls. He walked 1, but he threw the ball very well.
Yeah, good velocity. He was at 94, 95.
Yeah, and I like the velocity was good. I like the fact that he was down in the zone with his heaters.
That one is floated out to left and right toward Matt Holliday. 2 outs. 5 up, 5 down for the Princeton grad. Time now for the Major League Notebook. Here's Greg Murphy. Murph.
All right, thanks, Tom. Well, it has been a struggle for the New York Yankees so far this season. Dead last in the AL East, and now Alex Rodriguez is on the shelf with a strained right hamstring, the 15-day DL for him. It came right after A-Rod delivered a impassioned speech to his team about scoring runs and better offense. He said the team should be scoring 5 runs a game. They did not do that last night. They did do that tonight. They scored 7 tonight, but they did so without A-Rod. One other story that, well, is bound to be talked about over the next couple of days. According to reports on ESPN's Outside the Lines, more suspensions for anabolic steroids are coming in Major League Baseball. The report cites at least one player who has already been told that he is going to be suspended.
Wow.
That announcement is supposed to be coming later this week, according to sources that have told ESPN. At least one player who tested positive to the steroid Turinabol, the same one that Chris Colabello and Daniel Stump tested positive in spring training. This player also apparently tested positive in spring training. He has been notified, apparently, and now some clerical work before he can be suspended, but we should hear that later this week, guys.
Burris rolls it foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Boy, that's a shame. I mean, Major League Baseball is continuing to try to clean up the game. And Murph was talking about the Outside the Lines report. Deeper in that report today is that Major League Baseball is trying to figure out where the connection is to all these players and that steroid. That's the next step of the process, I would think, Murph.
Yeah, it's interesting because what they're saying now is that this is a type of steroid that stays in your system for months and months and months as it breaks down in your system. And they believe now that it used to be able to be, you would able to get through the testing without this being identified, but the new testing that they're doing, and they started in spring training, is catching this now, and players are being caught off guard. Some players perhaps that have been using it for quite some time maybe are now finding out that it's been in their system for months and months, and even if they hadn't taken it for quite some time, are getting nabbed when the testing is coming up. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more on this story as more information becomes available.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Emmanuel Burris. If it's the first violation of a steroid use, it's 80 games. Second violation, it's 162 games. And third violation is they ban for life.
And I hope they catch every single one of them. I really do. Problem is, guys have been taking steroids or whatever and getting paid for it. Now they're sitting at home serving an 80 game and still making $50 million.
The ball got a piece of the home plate umpire, Quinn Walcott.
Got him on the right hand, threw the clicker out of his hand. Left hand.
Oh yeah, the clicker did go out of his hand. Eagle eye, Matt Stairs. Two balls, 2 strikes to Burris. 2 pinch hits this year. 3-2. But this Bowman moves all over the place, doesn't he?
You got the exact same delivery as Tim Lincecum. Minus the long hair.
Matt Carpenter has it. Bowman's there to cover, and the side is retired. Bowman faces 6, retires all 6. Time to stretch here at Busch Stadium. The Phils still on top 4-3 over the Cardinals. Phillies with 4 runs on 4 hits. The Cardinals with 3 runs on 6 bases. It's time now for our Hyundai defensive play of the game. Who says Yadier Molina can't play first base?
Showing his range at first base. A rare missile hit to first base. Couple steps dive. Typical first baseman. Block and shovel. Catch your shovel to first base. That's your Hyundai defensive play of the game, brought to you by local Hyundai dealers.
It's like a pit crew. Quinn Walcott has that thumb now taped up by the Cardinals athletic trainer on the foul ball by Emmanuel Burris. So Andrew Bailey will check into the ball game. Bailey in his 4th game. Five innings so far, 6 strikeouts. Araujo gets a 1/3 of an inning. Colton Murray an inning and 2/3. And now it's up to Andrew Bailey. Facing Jeremy Hazelbaker. He has 2 pinch hit home runs, 2 of the 7 for the Cardinals. Takes inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Phillies have really leaned on their bullpen this year, and they're going to have to lean on it a little bit more here tonight. There's a strike.
Well, you made a good point earlier, Tom, that everyone in the bullpen is rested and ready to go. 16 pitches last night, 18 pitches for Neris.
High fastball, 2-2. Popped up over toward the Phillies dugout. Ruiz running over, makes the catch. 1 away. Want to be part of the team? Sign up now for the Fightin' Phils fan club. Membership includes 2 tickets to a Phillies home game, a Majestic Clubhouse store discount, and more. Join now at Phillies.com. Top of the order. Diaz had a 2-run single his last time up. That started the scoring for the Cardinals in their 3-run 5th inning. Phillies have done a nice job just holding off the momentum swing, the total momentum swing from that inning, and still maintaining a lead.
That first and second no out and getting that double play by Matt Holliday was huge.
Kevin Segrist is the lefty. Oh, the right-hander. Stephen Piscotty is on deck. Out to shortstop softly. Galvis is up with it. A little bit of a hesitation, but still able to throw him out. And they're 2 outs. I don't know if he was hesitating just so he couldn't get a grip on the ball.
Yeah, and you know, one thing about Andrew Bailey is that he's up in the zone, but location-wise, this is supposed to be low and away. This is a fastball that's getting on top of you pretty quick. He has that little, even though the velocity today is 91, 92, it's that late movement and that little rise to where you think you're going to barrel it. Next thing you know, you hit off the label. Very good pitch for a 3-1 pitch.
Carlos tries to frame that inside pitch. Piscotty is 1 for 3. He's grounded out twice. He's also singled home a run. That was in the 5th inning. That got a piece of Ruiz. Phillies top of the 8th inning will feature Tyler Goodell, and then the top of the order. Off the end of the bat, that'll flare into right center field for a base hit. It's his 2nd hit of the night, his 5th hit in this series. And Matt Holliday will bat with a runner at first, 2 outs. Phillies bullpen is 10th in the league in earned run average at 4.34. That's coming into tonight's game. It continues to creep down. They're being challenged here tonight. Broken back ground ball to shortstop. Galvis flips underhand to second in time to get Piscotty, and the side is retired. 6-4 on the putout. We have completed 7. We'll go to the 8th inning. The Phils still on top, 4-3. ChooseNissan.com. By Jefferson. Call 800-JEF now or visit jefferson.edu. And by the Pennsylvania Lottery's new instant game, Pennsylvania Millions. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly. Top of the 8th inning, the Phillies again involved in a 1-run ball game, and why not? They've got 11 1-run games already this year in the books. They're 9-2. They would love it to not be a 1-run game. They'll have to face Sung-Yuan Oh. Oh pitched in game 1 of this series. Right-hander from South Korea who pitched in Japan last year. Tyler Goodell waves at the first pitch. It's 0-1. It's kind of interesting listening to Peter Borges talk about O's delivery and how, from a timing standpoint, it takes a pitch or two to get used to it. He has 2 delays, Matt. He has the delay with his toe tap, and then he has a delay when he's fully in his motion. And then, boom, bursts toward the plate. Popped up. Foul territory. Carpenter makes the catch.
The first toe tap he does, it's when he goes back in the position where he's getting a grip. So you can see right here the step back. This here doesn't mean anything for a hitter. Now this is where you start making your movement. Then he has the little toe tap right there. What you need to try to work on is trying to still concentrate on when his hand comes out of his glove. Once his hand goes out of the glove, that's as a hitter you start moving.
But it will take a pitch or two.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Odubel takes a strike. That was an off-speed pitch. Fastball runs away, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike to Odubel. Odubel is 1 for 3 homered his last time up. Hector's warming up.
O's that type of pitcher that you try to not get caught up in the delivery. You try to time it right. You're a hair late. He throws 94 with a really good slider.
And a split or change
which
up.
we haven't even seen yet in the second appearance.
Rides that one upstairs.
Take it we haven't got the exit velocity on the home run from.
You know what? I haven't looked. I'll look.
Thank you.
He just said, "My bad." Somebody must have said something to him. One of the I know they said something the other day, but they must have said something to him about changing his way. And a line drive base hit into center field. Well, that's his 5th hit in this series, and he is aboard for Freddie Galvis. You know how the Eagles did in the NFL draft? We'll tell you how their NFC East rivals fared. Join Derek Gunn and Reuben Frank on Quick Slants tomorrow night at 6, only on Comcast Sportsnet. Freddie has singled tonight. He's also scored a run. Phil's up by 1. You want him running at any point here, Matt?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd like to see him. I mean, they talked about in spring training. They want a lot of runnings and a lot of base running. Be aggressive on the bases. He is very quick to first base. Now we'll have to see what type of move he has to home. And no, I do not want to see him running now. He's very quick to home. Plus Molina, he shuts down the running game for everybody.
Popped up first base side once again. Carpenter in fair territory makes the catch. And now Maikel Franco is up with 2 men down and a runner at first base.
You know, and I was talking about the home run that Herrera hit earlier, which was just tremendous swing. Very impressive his last at bat, the 3-2 pitch. You know, he gets out there and he's a timing guy. Watch his timing, but watch how he attacks the ball, but his hands stay back and just throws the barrel. When we talk about not trying to do too much, that's hitting the ball where it's pitched and just taking a nice easy swing on O's first off-speed pitch we've seen for a changeup.
Yeah, another 2-hit night for Odubel. His average at .319.
And he doesn't get cheap hits. He hits missiles everywhere.
Off the end of the bat and back to the box. Side is retired. 1-3 on the put-out. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We're on to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Phillies leading it 4-3. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and they'll bring Hector Neris into the ball game. Neris, 27 strikeouts in 16 in the third, an ERA of 1.10. Andres Blanco comes on to play third base as part of a double switch. So Maikel Franco's night is done. Murph, strikeouts have been an important part of the Phillies staff, not only the bullpen, but the staff as a whole. And Neris is sort of leading the way from a bullpen standpoint.
He is certainly doing his part. And, you know, it's been such a great story. One of the best stories so far early in the season for the Phillies. Pete Mackanin asked about him almost every single day. You know, what's the story with Hector Neris? Take a look. You mentioned the 27 strikeouts. That's best in baseball when it comes to relievers, and it is by a couple. He comes in, he gets his job done. We've talked a lot about his splitter. How about this? 21 of those strikeouts have come on the split-fingered fastball. It has been an almost unhittable pitch for Hector Neris, and as Pete Mackanin said today, you can kind of watch as Hector grows in confidence every single time he gets out on the mound, and why not? He's having nothing but success at this point.
Yeah, you wonder if he's going to close tonight with this double switch, although Pete does double switches and they don't always mean the same thing that we're normally used to, but he can close, Pete said. I would think Jenber's available tonight. Carlos got this foul ball. Oh man. Two balls and 1 strike to Grichuk. It'll be Grichuk, Yadier Molina, and Jed Jerko. 4, 5, and 6 for the Cards. toward the hole. Backhanded by Galvis, sets and throws to first in time. What a play by Freddie Galvis. One away here in the bottom of the 8th inning. That is a masterful play by the Phillies shortstop. Now there will be a little bit of a delay as the Cardinals decide whether they want that to be reviewed or request a review. Boy, I thought he got him pretty easily. Well, not easily, but I thought he got him.
Off balance, strong throw, right on the money.
Nice play by Ryan Howard,
good
too.
Good by Ryan. Very nice play.
That was close. Hector likes it. How could you not?
Man.
So one gone here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Yadier Molina walked his last time up. He's also grounded out to shortstop, and he's flied out to center. In there for a strike. It's 1-1. Been a clutch hitter that's carried over to this year late in games. Throws his bat at it. Blanco charges. 2 outs. And now Jed Jerko. Pitches last night for Hector Neris. He's thrown 8 to get the first 2 outs here in this inning.
I just can't get over the amount of movement that split finger does. And I know, and I've seen a lot of, I shouldn't say I've seen a lot because I swung and miss at them all the time. But we mentioned it doesn't just go straight down, it goes left and right.
Yeah, that's the right to left right there. But you're right, straight down, left, right, right, left.
And not doing it on purpose, just throwing it.
Trevor Rosenthal, Siegrist warming up. A high fly ball deep to left field. Goodell is over toward the corner. He jumps and he made the catch. He got it right off the top of the wall. And the inning is over. Tyler Goodell and Freddie Galvis bookend the outs here in this inning. 2 wonderful plays, one to start the inning and one to finish the inning. This is an incredible feat of concentration by Tyler Goodell. Oh, I don't know if it would have gone out, but it would have went off the top of the wall. And Mike Matheny says, oh man, I got so many breaks tonight, I'm not going to get another one. We'll go to the 9th. He got a little help from his friends. The play by Freddie Galvis to start the inning, and the play by Tyler Goodell to wrap up the inning. Take a look at this play again.
Well, one, it's the fact of how far he went for the run. But the other thing is finding the fence and getting over there really quick and making a good play. You can see the ball right here above his glove.
Good circle, Matt.
Oh, thank you. Keeping the concentration, going up on it. Again, finding the fence first. They might have hit right off the top of that 6.
That was close. I mean, it was an outstanding play.
Again, another outfielder making a tremendous play.
Yeah.
Peter Borges making a great play last night. Thought of Goodell making a very nice play in left field.
Well, that's going to make him feel good. Obviously, he hasn't been able to contribute a whole lot offensively, and he hasn't played a whole lot. It's going over with Emmanuel Burrs. Kevin Segrist is the new pitcher for the Cardinals. His 13th game, second time he's pitched in this series. There was a little bit of a delay after that catch was made. I don't know. Mike Matheny had David Bell go to the phone. They were reviewing whether that ball hit, I guess, hit the
Maybe
fence.
trapped it on the fence.
That's, yeah.
But you might as well ask for a replay on everything.
Darren Ruff will pinch hit for the Phils. Freddie Galvis made a great play to start the inning. So Ruff will pinch hit for Ryan Howard. Ball, 1 strike to Darren Ruff. And he fouls it back to the screen. Darren should be in the lineup tomorrow with the lefty Jaime Garcia on the hill for the Cardinals. Phillies and the Cardinals will wrap up this 4-game series tomorrow at 1:45 Eastern time, 12:45 local time, and then it's off to Miami for the first time this year. Swing and a miss. He went fishing and 1 away here in the 9th inning. And Carlos Ruiz is coming up. Jeanmar Gomez is warming up in the bullpen, and he will face the bottom of the Cardinals order in the 9th inning. Gomez. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Segrist. And here's Cesar Hernandez. Reminder that if you want to go to on a Phillies road trip, you might want to think about going to Denver, Colorado, Thursday, July 7th through Monday, July 11th. Package includes airfare options, hotel accommodations, tickets to all 4 games against the Rockies, brunch with the broadcasters.
That's right. Custom
merchandise, and a Coors Field tour. Visit Phillies.com/PhilliesVacations. Hernandez bunts it up the third base line. Tejada has it, and it's in time, according to the first base umpire. And Mickey Morandini says, we got to review this one. So they're going to hold the Cardinals. I thought he beat it. I don't know what you thought, Matt. Pete is going to lean toward Larry Boa to decide whether they are going to review this or not. Request the review, I should say, at this point in the game.
You know, I don't think I've got a play right this year.
Well, tonight's not a good one for us to use as an example.
Seriously?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it looks like his foot's on the bag. Looks like it.
It looks like he's safe.
Looks like his foot's on the bag. Now Pete's going to go over and talk to Ryan Blakeney, the third base umpire, and he's going to say, you know what, why don't we talk to the big cheese? Mark Carlson's the crew chief. He can ask Mark if he would review it, and Mark is going to. Foot looks like it's on the bag right there, and the ball is not in the glove. But is it on the bag or right on top of it? I don't know. I think he's safe.
I'll tell you in about 5 minutes.
I don't think it's going to take that long. Mike DeMuro is the second umpire. We've had 2 reviews tonight. One was 5 minutes and 1 second. All right, so the ball's not in the glove. The foot is on the bag. The ball's not in the glove, and the foot is on the bag.
Safe.
That's right.
I'll make that call, Tom. Safe.
That was great. Whoever did that.
Tremendous.
That is useful. We've had a couple people ask us tonight how they decided to give Tejada the double before. The umpires, when they review it, and we'll see the answer to this one, he is safe. When they review it, there's a camera that's up above, and they gauge where the base runner is when they go over the review, and that's why they awarded him a double. So Cesar is safe at first, safe and secure with his second hit. And David Lowe, who is 0 for 3, will be the batter.
See how quick Mickey was on that play, going to the headsets right away down the bench. He knew he was safe. By the way, tremendous bunt by Cesar Hernandez.
Oh, and 2 to Lowe. Pete just said that, and Charlie used to say it too, is if you think that the umpire got it wrong, give me a little bit of an indication, because it's not always easy to see it from the dugout. No balls and 2 strikes to Lowe. Swing and a miss, and the side is retired. 3 strikeouts in the inning. for Segras. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. On to the bottom of the 9th inning. Jeanmar Gomez coming on, a 1-1 game. Down this matchup with full analysis only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies post-game live. We'll head to the bottom of the 9th inning. Jeanmar Gomez will be the new pitcher for the Phillies. Colton Murray an inning and 2/3 scoreless. Elvis Araujo a third of an inning scoreless. Andrew Bailey and Hector Neris each with an inning of scoreless baseball. Peter Bourjos on to play right field for the Phils. So David Lowe is out. Jeanmar Gomez is in. Jeanmar 2-0, a 1.69 ERA. Darren Rupp stays in the ballgame to play first base. So Pete's used his entire bench tonight except for Cameron Rupp. Colton Wong will pinch hit. It'll be Wong, then Carpenter. Here in the home 9th inning. Phillies have played 11 one-run games. They've won 9 of the 11. Wong swings at the first pitch and fouls it back. It's 0-1.
Interesting move having low bat versus a left-hander. Maybe he's just giving Peter Bourjos a day off mentally, hitting wise.
He could be. I thought for a moment he would have Bourjos pinch hit. I did not think he'd go in to play defense. But he's got the lineup card.
He's a
skipper
skipper
to do what he wants with it.
That he does.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Colton Wong. That one fades down. 2-2. On the Toyota Major League scoreboard, the Diamondbacks lost to the Marlins 4-3. Jose Fernandez got the win. He's 3-2. Mike Stanton, or Giancarlo Stanton, I should say, a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. JT Realmuto leading off for the Marlins, 3 for 4 with a run scored. Without D. Gordon, Don Mattingly sat there and went through the lineup and said, who do I think could be the perfect leadoff hitter for us? Well, Realmuto takes a lot of pitches. Why don't we try him? Martin Prado was leading the league in hitting coming into today's game. Could always use him if they need him. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Wong. Inside, 3-2.
Wong has had some good at-bats so far this series. Home run the first game. A lot of pitches yesterday versus Aaron Nola.
Inside, ball 4 and a base runner. So Wong is aboard. Carpenter's coming up. Reminder, tomorrow we'll be on the air at 1:30 with a 1:45 Eastern Time start. Matt Carpenter's had 1 at bat. He lined out softly to shortstop. And that was in the 6th inning. He has 1 sacrifice bunt this year and 6 during his big league career. Ball slipped out of Genmar's hand or what, but it short hopped Darren Ruff over at first. Fly ball left field. Tyler Goodell will make the catch. And 1 away.
I didn't think they'd bunt him in that situation.
I wasn't sure. The way Blanco was standing, it gave me an indication the Phillies didn't think he would.
Right, and the only reason why is because now if you sacrifice him to second base, you just wasted Adams at the plate because they would have walked him intentional. Then you would have had first and second. Forced play out again.
So Matt Adams will pinch hit. He has a pinch hit home run this year. He's 4 for 9 as a pinch hitter overall. Adams hitting .259 with 3 homers and 7 RBIs. Wong inches off first. And a liner out towards center field. That's pretty well hit. Odubel going back. It is off the top of the wall. Wong heading around third toward home. Galvis's throw is cut off, and Wong is held up at the last moment. And Matt Adams is thinking that's a home run. Replay has played such a huge role in tonight's game. Could it in this spot? Now, this does not have to be requested by Mike Matheny. The umpires can look at it because it's a boundary call.
It's off the wall.
It's off the wall. So this will be 2nd and 3rd with 1 man down. Well, that's awfully close. That was a bullet. Good job by Odubel to get it in. This is not coming from the manager. This was an umpire's review. Matt Adams just reacted to the replay, and they've already decided that that ball did indeed hit the wall. Adams was peeking up at the video board as they showed the replay of it, and he just threw his head back and went, oh. Here comes Pete Macadam with Diaz up at the plate. It's 4-3, Phillies on top. Tying run is at 3rd. The go-ahead run, or winning run, I should say, is at second. They put in a pinch runner for Matt Adams. It's Carlos Martinez, one of the starting pitchers. Take another look. And right off the top of the wall.
Seriously, can you get any closer?
This game has had some very unique plays, whether it be the defense of the Phillies, the reviews. They're going to walk Diaz intentionally to load up the bases. You at all surprised they didn't send Wong around third?
I was kind of surprised, but I think it all had to do with the relay. If Herrera overthrows the cutoff man, yes, they would send him. But he made a strong throw, and Freddie Galvis got it in quick, so he stopped him late.
He did. Intentional walk will load up the bases here in the bottom of the ninth inning. And Piscotty, who has 2 hits tonight, a flare his last time, a single to center the time before.
Yeah, this is the key right here. Herrera gets back to the wall, plays it off the wall very nicely, but he gets it in quick. Strong throw. Freddie Galvis turns and throws. That puts the pressure on the third base coach to make sure you hold him up. You see right there, he picked him up late and held him at third.
All right, so the Phillies will play the infield up a little bit, hoping to turn 2. Depending on how the ball is hit, will dictate whether they're going to come to the plate or not. Swing and a miss at the first pitch. It's 0-1. It was up in the zone. Mark just asked Carlos Ruiz to go through the signs again. No balls and 1 strike to Piscotty. Nearly hit him. Denmar's command last night was a little off, but he got through it. He's running into a little bit here.
Yeah, and this is a situation where Gomez has a very good split finger. He also has a very good 2-seamer. So does he want to take the chance by going with the 2-seamer and trying to get the double play? Or does he go for the strikeout and use the split finger fastball?
Swing and a miss. 1-2. Going for the strikeout. Going for the double play.
That's a 2-seamer. The action of a late movement, but you can see this 2-seamer down and in.
I got you.
He's trying to get him to smother it to third base. Now the question is, does he stay for the game plan of the sinker or the split finger?
1 ball and 2 strikes. The base is loaded. 1-run lead for the Phillies. He did not bite that time. 2-2. Trying to win for the 17th time this year. Trying to win their 10th 1-run game. This has been a nail biter. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 3-2. Wong's at third. Martinez, the starting pitcher, is at second. Diaz at first. Matt Holliday looms in the on-deck circle. The 3-2 pitch. Ground ball toward the hole. Galvis has it, stumbles toward third. Tying run is in. Martinez is stuck. Maloney, the third base coach, got in the way. And Martinez is tagged out, and we are tied up at 4. But the potential winning run is now at third with 2 men down. Maloney, the third base coach, was way too close to the line. But as it turns out, he's part of the field of play because he's trying to get his base runner to be in position over at third. Now Pete Maccannon's coming out and asking the home plate umpire, Quinn Walcott, about that because the runner got to third because Maloney got in the way. Now Mark Carlson, the crew chief, will come over.
It's a heads-up play by Freddie Galvis, so keeping the ball in the infield but shoveling it very quick to third base.
Well, Mark Carlson explains to Pete Maccannon that the third base coach, yes, he was in the way, but in essence, he's part of the field of play. He was trying to avoid Martinez, and that then put him in the way of Blanco, who was going after Martinez. Martinez is squirming all over the place. All right, so now they need to get the out and send this game into extra innings. It's Matt Holliday who's up, with runners on first and third. Scotty doesn't matter. He's going to take off. The pitch inside, 1-0. The only reason he matters is because the force play at second base. By the way, the Cardinals put a pitcher in the pinch run who's not a seasoned base runner, and it cost them an out. I'm not saying that a regular base runner wouldn't have done that, but I don't know if they would have overrun the third base bag like that.
Well, a regular base runner would have picked up the third base coach and told him to stay on the bag.
1 ball, no strikes to Holliday. On the outside corner, 1-1. First blown save of the year for Jeanmar Gomez. By the way, that's an infield hit for Piscotty, and he gets the RBI. Second RBI of the night, third hit. Here's the 1-1 pitch coming to Holliday. Chopper toward the hole, into left field, and the Cardinals will win the ball game. An RBI single by Matt Holliday, and the Cardinals win it 5-4 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. The first blown save of the season for Jeanmar Gomez leads to the come-from-behind victory for the St. Louis Cardinals. Matt Holliday is our Chevrolet player of the game. The double earlier, and then the game-winning RBI here. This was not a clean-cut game by any stretch of the imagination, but the Cardinals down 4-0, come from behind and win it 5-4. Our W. Mason delivery of the game, you just saw it.
Yep. Holliday getting a two-seamer from Gomez. Hits the base, hit the left field. You can see Freddie playing up the middle a little bit. And like you said, Tom, it wasn't a very clean game on both sides. but the Cardinals came out with the win off the Holiday walk-off single.
Yeah, and there was a lot of things tested tonight. The boundaries of baseball, replay. And the victory goes to the Cardinals. They take Game 3 by a final score of 5-4. We'll be back to St. Louis to wrap things up right after this.